Okay, my friends, so what was I talking about? Why is there blood in my meteorite? Well, this is a meteorite. It's an iron meteorite. And it's cut. And that is blood. Now, there is also a vein, because you always have an artery and a vein, and that's a vein because it's blood. Now, all of these little crystals that form are because of all of the blood metals. And the metals that are in blood primarily are the transition metals. And they are the carriers of all the products in your body that give and take. They have oxidation states. I've shown it a million times. Red and black blood. This, I believe, is probably a liver. I don't know. But there's livers, there's hearts, and there's lungs. So those three will turn into iron meteorites. The rest turn into meteorites like this that are just meteorites. They're a little blanched off and burnt off here and there, and they come to Earth. And this was another meteorite. Only this also is biology. And I will prove this very clearly. And then, of course, I have a lung here, which is an iron meteorite. And I can prove this is a lung because I can show the biology that attaches the lung to the body. I call it the Spurlock. It's right down there. We're going to put this in a microscope. We'll look at all this in a microscope. And I'll show you that it's all biology. This is not just rocks falling out of space. Plus, have you ever heard of the Kentucky meat shower? And the astronauts say space smells like steak. It's the astronauts going into space. When they come back in, they take their suits off. It has the aroma of seared steak and metals and welding fumes. That's what's in blood. That's exactly what is in blood. How about this one? Weird. This just came out a month or two ago. Digging into the explosive mystery behind the Kentucky meat shower of 1876. Meat fell all over this person's property, and it was still wet and red and bloody. And this one guy cooked it and ate it and said it tasted like elk. Okay, my claim is that I have a finger here that came through space and cooked. I'll show it to you in a second. What are we looking at here? These are fingertips, and these are the blood supplies and returns. Now, one side will come down with fresh blood, and it will return back through the vein side. So we have a black and a red. And that's the blood I'm showing you in hearts and lungs and livers and so forth. This is a fingertip. Different situation. It's not going to look like a metal iron meteorite. But I do have one here that is a fingertip, and I will show you. And I have other ones that were terrestrial. Like this is a fingertip from a giant hand, and I have the whole hand, and I have other parts from it that eroded in a bunch of different ways. This is another fingertip that completely eroded where it was like on the lower side. But we still have the vein and artery. We still show where the veins don't blow out. We show where the arteries do blow out. See? Boom, boom, boom. So you're going to have artery, 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 blown out, blown right out. Vein, 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 clamps. They don't blow out. That's the story. And you're going to have the artery and vein coming in here too. Now, this is the pattern they call the distal phalanges. I don't believe you'll be able to see it now. It's probably not dark enough to see, but that's what it is, and this was a fingertip. Now, so let's get these out of the way. What do we have here? We have two identical fingertips. This is a fingertip. And how do I know that? Same thing here. These two sides didn't blow out. The vein side didn't blow out. The artery sides blew completely out. See? Artery, artery, artery. And that's actually blood that's congealed now. This was a terrestrial fingertip. And it was just laying there. And that's the same stuff that's on all of them. Now, check this architecture and this latch, because they all have that latch. You see, they all have a latch on the side. Even the one that's completely eroded has that latch over here too. Now, watch this. This is the one that came through space. You see that? Absolutely identical. No difference whatsoever on the tip. You see the tips? That little hook right there? Exactly identical. Did not blow out, did not blow out, did not blow out, did not blow out. This came through in a wet, it was wet when it came through. And the blood boiled and exploded this whole side completely off. That's the anchor right there, that circular implant, and that's the stalk where the anchor held so you could move your finger around like that. This was just cooked off coming through space. You see that? This is, the architecture is unbelievable when you get down to actually seeing what we're built out of. There's a circle here, and there's another circle here. Those are the locks that give you the ability to really move your fingers hard. All right, so this one here it's identical. No difference whatsoever. It's a little bit smaller. There's the back of it. Now, this side blew out because it was wet. This side just dried up, and that's the blood. That's the blood at the tip and at both sides. Just like this. This came through space. And that's really, they're very, very saturated with blood, as are all fingertips. Saturated. You know, I didn't get that DNA tested or anything. There's some things I'm a little concerned about doing, to be perfectly honest with you. But it said in the final days, not a thing won't be unturned. Everything was buried is going to be unburied, and everything that was hidden is going to be in plain sight. And then you make up your own mind whether you believe or not. And I got to tell you right now, this has changed my entire way of thinking. Now, you can do whatever you want, but I would take into consideration what you're seeing and what was written. All right, you see this right here? These are the alveoli holes that have all different types of colored metals in them. And in between is the iron. That's what's turned silvery. So this is a meteorite, and I have one here that's not a meteorite, but it would be exactly like that if it came in through space. Now, you see the shiny part here? Over in here, the shiny stuff. I'm going to twist it, and you'll see they're the same things as these. They're all alveoli. All of this brown stuff, that's the blood. That's where you'd have all that silver in between those different things. Like, you see all the different colors? That's from blood chemistry. But all the brown in between, where it's not shiny, that's the iron, which in coming through space, this lung would be very similar to a lot of these. They're showing a lot of them like that. Same stuff. The holes. Well, you see what you see. All right, this is the style I'm talking about here, which is these are all lungs, and there's different temperatures that they arrive at, which means there'll be different minerals that are left over. Now, again, this is mine in the microscope here, and all of the brown areas where it's not shiny would turn into iron, and all the shiny parts would stay as those different colored looking things that are all over in here. All right, so all of the things that I can tell coming through space are biological. That's not just an accident. All right, these are all magnetic ones, just like mine, right, that I have here. They're the little lungs or something. Now, I'm going to put this in a microscope, and you'll see the blood vessels and so forth that are in here. And there's going to be different areas of magnetism. Depends on where they hit and how it came through. And the bigger it is, the stronger the magnet will attach. But, you know, this is kind of a small one. And it kept most of its lung structure. And it's specifically, I can easily see the latch that holds this in the body of the creature that it came from, whatever that creature was. And we're going to see that right now in a microscope. Okay, I am going to make this a lot clearer, but for right now, what I want you to look at is this little triangular piece right here. That is at the bottom of lungs, and that is what I call it the spurlock. And I'm going to show you a much better shots of it in an actual anatomical look. But this is this tiny little lung, okay? And those are all the alveoli holes, and there's still a little blood here and there. You see all these little white spots? That's the collagen fibers. There's still some collagen fibers still on it. It hasn't just completely burnt up into nothing. Okay, some do. And they just completely turn into, as you saw, solid iron, this and that. Well, this one's not. This one still has, because it's just not big enough. Now, I'm going to come right down on it, and we're going to look at some of the actual bloody spots. And don't forget, this is also a lung. And this is basically the same sort of situation here. You got a big hole where all the stuff enters in, and all the air starts filtering around, and then it comes back out. And that's this area. All the rest is just where the air passes by the blood to get oxygenated. Okay, this is right down in where the main input is. All the air tubes are coming in, and it's a very close-up shot. Now, I'm going to back out of here, and this is up at the top. You see this? And you see all these little white fibers? That's the collagen fibers that are all over lungs. I'm going to show you one that has no degradation at all. And you'll see it's the same stuff, only this one's been cooked to a degree that it's not. See that? Look at that. There's still little tastes of actual red blood in here and there. See that fibers? Primarily it's cooked though. Let me show you one that's not cooked at all. Alright, this is what they look like when they're completely fresh and not cooked. All of this red stuff and the black, of course, would stay black, and you see the little tiny white fibers here and there, just as you saw in my little tiny lung. This one here is right here in the microscope. Hold on. I'll turn the light on to show you, because this also has the spurlock. Alright, you see that bottom spot right there? That's the thing that I'm showing you on this one. And it wraps right around, and it latches this into the body so it doesn't go floating around in your body. And there's the little tab that comes off of there. And it turns into a lock and latches it in. Let me show you a biological one, and then I'll show you what it looks like in this. Alright, like I said, I found that this latches, that little latch there is the same as this little latch here, is the same as all of them. The ones on the lungs and every one of them has the same attachment, this little flap. I call it the spurlock. And it's just like this right here. So this chunk of muscle can't float around from the other. This is nothing more than muscle. You see this? That's nothing more than muscle. And that's this block right here. And that's the little latch that comes over and hangs off of the wherever this attached to. But this is like muscular stuff. This is obviously a lung, and it's been DNA tested and CAT scan and everything else, and it's an anatomist verified. I mean, even a kid could tell what it is. And everything I have is flat on the back. There's blood coming right out of here. So, and I had everything I had that I claim I had tested was DNA tested for, it was human. Now, I didn't have Caesar tested. Caesar's a goose. That's my claim. And the reason I can claim that is because he got feathers in his head. And he looks like a goose. And he's got a neck that would be just like a goose. And he died laying like this flat. Again, in a flood. I believe it was a hot water flood. This is what was written long ago. And this is what was claimed by every culture on Earth that there was battles in the heavens, and that's where all this stuff came from. Now, the stuff on Earth, the terrestrial stuff, was from the flood. The body parts in space were from the battles in the heavens. That's all I can tell you. That's what was written. I'm going to go with that right now. You see, that's that little latch that's on this lung. It comes down and it latches just like the other one did. And here's the lung right here. That's that little lung. I just had it, it's in the microscope here. I think I've made a pretty good case. Okay, I want to add one last thing. First of all, come up here and just ferret around in here, dig around, and watch the things that I have discovered. And everybody's sending me all kinds of things. I'm like Ripley's Believe It, or Rogers Believe It or Not. How's that? People, they're not getting any respect from anybody. With all this crazy stuff, nobody's paying any attention. So I am the one that's going to show you what the crazy stuff is. And it is crazy, and it is stuff. It's not just theories. And here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be, actually, today's Wednesday. It's October 26th. Tomorrow, Thursday, at 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, United States, I'm going to be having a thing with Michael Tellinger on Zoom. I'll put a link to it. I don't really know that much about it. We're just going to sort of be talking. He's looking into the giants too. And he's got stone circles. He's got all kinds of things. And he seems to have an open mind. Now, I did say, Michael, I'm going to tell you right now, there's some things we're not on the same page. This is what discussion in science is about. And if he's got an open mind, which he does appear to, we'll be able to discuss this reasonably and respectfully. And that's what I intend to do. Now, one way or the other, I'm hoping to have a video about this on my channel here, about our interaction, whether he records it or I just record it on the side here, whatever. But anyway, that's going to happen tomorrow. I'll put a link to it if you want to come live. He sent me a link that I can post for you guys. So that's what I'm going to do. All right, love you all. Bye.